think that I just come in there and look for knockouts, and that's not the case. You know, I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, wow, I'm here. Who wanted to fight me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
My goal is to demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. Man, a great weekend of boxing, man. Great weekend of boxing. And I still have my reservations. I'm still doing my homework. I'm still making my recons, making my evaluations on everything, but I would have to say, man, it was a great card. You know, I appreciate that Bud was able to, you know, add another notch to the belt and do big things for him and his people and his legacy and all that good stuff. This video is going to be about Rayo, Valenzuela. And I'm not one of them I told you so guys, but guys, I told you so. Man, I was looking at this, man. Look, this was it. This was the thumbnail. This was the thumbnail right here. I said that was the sleeper fight. I was like, look, this is the sleeper fight. This was the upset. This was the thumbnail. This is the video I did earlier, and YouTube was tripping. Like, YouTube been tripping, man. My last live, it chopped off like the first 10 minutes and then just started it. I emailed them. I don't know what's going on, you know. I just gotta keep my hand to the plow and keep digging. But I'm not one of them I told you so guys, but what I will say is, guys, Rayo did it, man. He went in there and he did exactly what he was supposed to do, how he was supposed to do it. And you got to give a salute to that dude, man, because he faced adversity. I remember Rayo was in my adversity university. I remember me commenting on what I didn't think it was right about, you know, Benavidez Senior, you know, what he said after the fight when he faced that adversity. Put the man on blast. But that's not to say I don't rock with Senior and them, you know, because David Benavidez and his team and all them, they won me over. But I have to say that Rayo did exactly what he was supposed to do, and I kept pointing out some things. I was looking at, you know, because this is the nutritional value. This is fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. This is not that, you know, opinion-based content. This is fact-based content, you know. We gotta have our spinach. We gotta have our broccoli. That's this kind of channel. It's not. It's not going. People not gonna get up at the top of Mount Kilimanjaro talking about the stuff that I'll be talking about. You feel me? But I looked at the card and I said, which fight has the most nutritional value? And naturally, since I call the 140-pound division the row, I said that it had to be this fight. I said it had to be this fight. Why? Because I remember saying, and I was going head to head with a lot of analysts, a lot of boxing coaches, a lot of this and this and that, when they said that that Pitbull jumped to the front of the line in the division. I said, front of the line, how? First of all, Teo was there, and you can say whatever you want about him. You know, he fights the level of competition, you know, blah, blah, blah. His resume is his resume. He's been able to do some things. You know, he has his own inherent legacy and things like that in his resume. But at the very least, he was already ahead of Pitbull. Why? Because I was pointing out the fact that all people were heralding Pitbull Cruz to was surviving Tank Davis. You know, he might be the leader of that movie. He might be the main feature of surviving Tank Davis, you know, because he's got his stardom off of surviving Tank Davis for 12 rounds. And that's why I always said, keep that same energy when it comes down to your fighter getting a knockout and whether or not he got to get the knockout. Because if you can survive Tank Davis, you can become a star. And if Tank don't get the knockout, everybody go, oh, he was down, and that's all they want to tell. He was down before he was losing. It's like, man, if you get your clock clean, whatever happened before that, yeah, you probably enacted some punishment, hopefully. But I said, keep that same energy. And then I went on and looked at Isaac Cruz, and I said, listen, I'm all for the rematch if that's what that team decide to do. If they decide to give him another rematch, I'm with it, because I feel like he's not gonna get credit for anybody he fights. For real. I mean, he's not gonna get credit for nobody. They're gonna say something like they always do. So I said, if that's who they want to pick, cool. I said I would be. I said, but just from a fan perspective, somebody who's been looking at the activity, I said that when you look at Isaac Pitbull Cruz, I say, what did he do to get another shot? That's what I was saying. I've been saying this for a minute. I'm not talking about these people that's jacking it now, that's saying it now, who flip-flop and turn, you know, they done pivoted, and now they saying it now, and these hindsight is 2020s. Not these people. I was saying, what did he do to get the rematch? Let's look at it. Let's evaluate it. He fought that guy, and he made him look bad. He was spinning him around, all around the ring. And I looked at his Cabrera. I looked at his knockout. He wasn't a knockout artist. He was a finesser. He could move. He had good feet. He didn't have no real power. You know, people thought his chin was decent, I guess, but you know, Williams Zepeda came out and showed that, hey man, hey guys, Williams Zepeda is you know, making his own bones. You know, he went out and stopped that guy. Isaac Pitbull Cruz didn't. Then I say, okay, cool. He goes on and he slapped Rolly to sleep, which pretty much most people knew that was going to happen. Most people knew that. Most people had placed a wager on that. So everybody knew that, because then again, Tank don't get no credit for knocking him out, putting him on stilettos. You know, having them, you know, giving them cobwebs for a couple of months. He get no credit for that, but Isaac Pitbull Cruz got all of that credit for slapping Rolly to sleep at 40. And I was like, okay, cool, but this is what we do. We pick and choose who we want to give the credit to and all that. These are all of the stakes in the ground. These things that were talked about prior to. And I said, well, let's break it down mathematically. I said, first of all, I don't think Isaac Pitbull Cruz is a 140-pounder. The dimensions ain't right. He know how to tuck his chin. He stayed behind that shell. I really call him the juggernaut, because if you look at him, he put that little helmet on. He looked like a little juggernaut. That's what he is. He's a little juggernaut. So I was looking at it from the perspective of the length and the reach, and I was like, man, Rayo knows how to box. I said, but also Rayo has, you know, knockout power as well, because him and going into the fight, when I talked about it in this video, that video right there, when I talked about it on the sleeper upset video, I was saying that, man, I got to look at the dimensions of Cabrera, look at the dimensions of Cruz, and I looked at the dimensions of all of the other guys at 140. Because if you think about it, when you're looking at Subriel Matias, Alberto Puello, Gary Antoine Russell, all of these guys are like going to be able to keep them off, and they have an educated stick. All of these guys was going to be able to keep them back, and they had like thumping power. They were naturally, probably some of them 147s. For real. That's why I said when it looked like Matias was going to get his hands on Pitbull, I was like, man, it's going to look like the Predator picking up one of them puppies and just, you know, I mean, you could say what you want about Paro. Paro had boxing technical skills, and he outworked Subriel Matias, but I said it was going to look ugly like that. I still do believe it. But I also pointed out the fact that Rayo can box. He just had to avoid his propensity to want to get in there and brawl. Because You know, it's funny how it was going. They were going back and forth about real Mexican, fake Mexican, U.S. Mexican, like all this stuff and all that. But Rayo, he's tough. He wanted to show, hey, look, I'm Mexican too, man. Like, I'm gonna end all of this. So he pretty much ended all of the hype. Tank fluffed him up for surviving. Rolly legitimized him by letting him get a belt, and then Rayo came by and put douses all over those flames. And I salute him. I salute Robert Garcia. I've been giving Robert Garcia his credits because I said in that video, in that same video, in that sleeper video, I was talking about Robert Garcia and how he is building, he is forging together a small fleet of trained killers, assassins. He is feeding the boxing future, and he's doing it in a way because you can't forget what he had with Mikey. With Mikey, you know what I'm saying, him and his pops was able to do with Mikey. Now he got all these guys. He had Virgil, Bam, Mortaya. The list is growing. He got Rayo as a champion now. And I said, there's something about the camaraderie and them guys being all in there together and you being able to see this, or you being able to figure this out, or being able to get that extra little, well, how do you do this and how you do that? I was like, that was going to pay big dividends. All Rayo had to do was go in there and be disciplined. And that's what he did. So all of these people going around talking about robbery and this and this and that, what I wanted to do was I wanted to get all the way down to the nitty gritty and actually let's get down to the nutritional value of the program. Cookie! Time for that body work. Cookie Monster. Body work. Salute Cookie. Salute Cookie Monster. But I want to get down to the nitty gritty. This is the nitty gritty. And I hate to have to give you them fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. But I had the big one. I don't know why YouTube is, StreamYard or whatever they're doing, man. They're not letting me upload my overlays not popping. And they do this at a weird time. You know, it's just, you know, I guess we doing big things. But this is what I wanted to talk about. The punch style. This is the final punch. Now we can go round by round. We can do all of that, but really the numbers is the numbers is the numbers. A lot of people like to pick and choose when they want to use these, but when I go head to head with the Chris Algieri's of the world, giving their assessments, who say bump stats and this and this and that, and all this stuff they were saying about Pitbull. Now go back and listen to what they were saying about what was going to happen with Pitbull and Rayo. None of them reasoned that. They was all in love, fell in love with those rose-colored glasses when it came down to Pitbull. They didn't look at the dimensions. But then you have people, one, how they were actually calling the fight. I was kind of surprised at how they were calling the fight a little bit. They did okay. They did okay. But we in the era now where, depending on if you like a fighter, because I was listening to two different places. I was listening to the live, and I was also listening to somebody that was, you know, going live during the fight. And you can always tell which fighter these people like when they're calling the fight. I try not to do that. That's why when you hear me go live, I don't care if Sabril in there, he going against somebody. I'm giving full credit to what Paro is doing in real time. Why? Because I'm just calling out what my eyes are seeing. See, these guys get to talking and doing all this and all that, and that's convenient for them to be able to say, oh, he just hit Pitbull in the face with the uppercut. He was cranking Pitbull Cruz in the face with that uppercut. And you can tell. How can you tell? Because Pitbull got a big old bruise up on his cheekbone from where Rayo was actually cracking. But in total punches, Cruz threw 521. That's 5 more punches than Valenzuela's 516. Cruz only landed 118 for a total of 22.8%. Valenzuela landed 171 punches. Now Cruz dominated. Daggone near doubled him in body work. You know, I like that body work. Cruz was going to that body. He was trying to. That's all he, at times, that's all he can get. I'm going to take what I can get and rip to that body. And normally he get away with that rip to the body, and then he do that little windmill, that overhand windmill. But he almost doubled him in body work. but Rayo was more accurate, and he landed in a physical. So if we was out looking at the fight, looking at two people outside in the parking lot fighting, we would have seen Rayo hit Pitbull 171 times, and Pitbull hit him 118. That says something. That's all those times when people were not saying anything, and they were so busy glazing while Rayo was in there doing work. Now, jabs, I said this again, like when I go back and look at the stats from Cruz and Tank, you can outland Cruz in jabs because he don't use his jab. He don't throw no jab. So, of course, Rayo out-jabbed him. He threw 179 of them, landed 33, only one to the body, which is hard to believe. That's kind of hard to only land one to the body, but the kind of fighter Pitbull is and how he comes forward and how he likes to, you know, swing them punches, you know, you had to kind of be a little surgical to stand right there and then know your timing and all that. So he was going to out jab Pitbull. That's not even a stat we really need to go over. Even so, he tripled him in jabs, and Pitbull did. It's saying that he did 108 jabs. You know, it's saying that he did. You know, and landed like 6 of them, and he landed 2 to the body. I don't know why Cruz won't even at least do the stab jab to the body. You know what I'm saying? Get people to stop, you know, moving on you like that. Stabilize them, deplete the legs. If he incorporated that, he could slow him down. I think that he should go back down to 135. The last stat category, power punches. 413 were thrown by Cruz. He landed 117, slightly over a quarter, 27.1%, 61 to the body. So he was getting Rayo's body. Rayo also did a little bit of body work, 36, almost half the amount. So he did do some work to the body, but he threw less in 337 and landed 138. 26 more punches. Way more accurate. He went to the dominant level. And they always say when you get up around 40, 43, 44%, that's starting to dictate and tell who had a dominant performance. If you're able to hit a man, like Rayo was able to hit Pitbull at a 40% rate, with him coming at you under that pressure, that man did some work. So the robbery stuff is, you know, is people that have a, you know, I guess a nostalgia or a learning, a yearning, a burning sensation, you know what I'm saying, down there for this guy to even yell out robbery, because it wasn't. Rayo did work. He stayed disciplined. It was a couple times when Pitbull caught him. You know what I'm saying? You can see a little, you know, but he weathered that storm. He weathered that storm. He stuck to his guns. He stuck to his principles. He even did the same move that Alberto Puello did to Gary Antoine Russell in the corner, man. When he pivoted, ducked, and then he pivoted around him. Houdini, man. That was a good performance. I think that this performance is getting overshadowed because people just like, because of the politics. Why? Because everybody wanted Pitbull to get another bite at the Tank apple. I mean, that's all it was. Like, when we look at what it was, now this is not one, I'm not being a Johnny come lately or hindsight is 2020. If you go back and look at the video, these are the things that I said, and I called this the upset. This is the one that this is one of the fights that I actually picked right in my 3-leg parlay, which I shared in the community chat. And this is a wild 3-card parlay. I had Andy Cruz getting a TKO or a KO against Antonio Moran. I had Andy Ruiz getting knocked down, but still going on to win the fight. That's what didn't happen. And then I had Rayo Valenzuela beating Pitbull Cruz money line. So I put $5 on that. I would have got like $600 and something for that. And I was close because Jarrell Big Baby Miller, he had stung Andy Ruiz at the end of like a couple rounds where Andy was just looking like, man, if it would have been like 30 more seconds, he would have hit the canvas, which I think would have made Andy get up and fight even harder, and then my parlay would have landed. That's wishful thinking, but that's how I'll be on it, because, you know, it's not about, sometimes it's not about who you like or whatever, but when I look back at the card and I look at everything I saw, and I watched everything. I watched the 2 fights before, and I watched every fight. I sat there and watched every fight, every event. I watched everything. I didn't miss anything. You know, it might have been like a round or two in a couple of the fights when I was out cooking dinner, but I didn't miss anything. Ours was glued, and so I salute the event, man. Bud getting his, you know, doing his thing. Turkey showing, you know, what the possibilities in the realm of possibilities are, you know, and what he can put together. I'm still a little cautious, but it was a good time. It was a good time. It was a good, overall, it was a good event. Overall, it was a good event. Into these fights, you had the Pride of Riyadh against Bolik. And they ruled that a draw somehow. I'm not going to get into the politics of that. Steven So-Called Nelson against Marco Vasquez. Uppercut stoppage. You know, uppercut stoppage by Steve So-Called Nelson. That was a good performance. Andy Cruz and Antonio Moran. Andy Cruz, I knew that he was going to start, because I noticed right from the beginning, his punch output was not as high as it was before. He was, because I remember the last time I saw him fight, he threw a lot of punches in a short period of time. And he was pinpoint accurate, but in the program, you got to sit down. So I seen that his output has slowed down a little bit, and that kind of played into Antonio Moran's wheelhouse a little bit. And I think Antonio Moran, man, people can say what they want from the time when, you know, Devin did his thing, but since then, he's been gaining experience. He's not the same guy. You know, he's probably, you know, a little more calloused. But it was kind of impressive to actually see that Andy Cruz, he can bite down if he needs to, and, you know, he can take a punch, because he took it and he got wobbled a couple times. You know, he used his boxing skills, whether it was the tie up, whether it was the, you know, use his legs. He got off into that corner. You know, got some respite, got some ice on the chest. And he regrouped and he came back out there and he did his thing. And that's what we need to see, because you can say what you want about these other guys, you know, who be saying they're going to stop this person and do all of that. It's like, you can say what you want about the competition in front of them, but if you can continue to do things like what he just did, stopping the guy after that kind of adversity, you can't go wrong. You put something out in the algorithms where people want to start looking at you, and you getting on these highlight reels. I don't know why it's not uploading my overlays, but I'm gonna run through the card and hopefully they'll download by the time I come out. So I do plan on coming out. But Andy Cruz showed grit. He's working with Bozy Ennis. He had his support system out there. Bozy, we seen Jerron Ennis out there, and Cruz got that stoppage. David Morrell, the one who I said was going to be total, give a total demolition and put on a demonstration. He wasn't quite the killer that he was typically. Jose had a great game plan and showed a good chin. That guy from Congo, Jared Anderson Fort, was a beast. Yeah, Koki. I'm gonna get there. I'm creeping up on it. I'm right there. I'm creeping right up on it. But David Morrell, man, I think that he was anxious for the knockout. I mean, we've seen young fighters do this. We've seen it when that time when Boots fought Karan Chukajan. We saw it with Boots. We saw it with somebody else did it, looking for the knockout, and they didn't get it, and you know they suffered criticism for it. But it's a growing, I think that he realized that, hey, man, you can't put hot sauce and mustard on everything. You got to set it up. And, you got to use your athleticism to your advantage, because he didn't fight the best fight. It looked like he was trying to get that highlight, that one hitter quitter. He was trying, and he refused to give it up. I'm not sure if Ronnie could convince him to fight outside of that. He got countered a couple times, so we saw that he can get hit. He got a chin, because Hot Rod was popping him a couple times. He caught him a couple times, putting everything and loading up. Rod was just, at one point in time, Rod knew whenever he was at a certain angle, after he do a certain punch, he knew to just throw that right and it was going to land. So he was sticking him. He was toothpicking him. But they had it at 117, 111. Might have been a little wide. I still think that it was a unanimous decision. Some people trying to say robbery and all this and that. But then again, you're going to have the people that have their inherent biases. Because if you think that you got to be loyal to David, then you can't say nothing bad about David. And if you rock with David, then you don't want to make it seem like you taking the poop on David. You feel me? So people are going to have that, and they both have their cult-like followings. But I think that, man, maybe he showed enough vulnerability. Maybe David Morrell showed enough vulnerability where David Benavidez want to get in the ring with him. Because regardless of the fact, he still called out David Benavidez after that. So we can say whether you ready or not. People were saying that Madrimov was ready because of his amateur, pedigree and him having a belt, and he was 11 fights in. David Morrell is 11. He's 11 fights in as well, but he's just moving up. So if he's saying he ready, he ready. He's been calling him out. He's been fighting Canelo Alvarez's mandatories, the WBA, since 2020. So, I mean, what more ready can you be? I just think that these guys shouldn't sit around trying to build their name and their legacy off of Canelo. Yeah, put yourself in the line, do what you got to do. But build your legacy by wiping out everybody but him. Anybody with the closest, start at the top of the list, try to get the biggest name, try to make it happen and go down the list, scrub the list. And get it and make it happen, because he might have showed enough vulnerability where David okay, cool, let's get down. Because David didn't look like David at 68 either. So a couple weeks ago, David didn't look like David at 68. And then on Saturday, David didn't look like David at 68. Same thing can be said. Moving on to what Koki was talking about. Jared Big Baby Anderson and Martin Bakole. Bakole knocked out Big Baby, man. He knocked out Big Baby, man. And Big Baby, he went out on his shield. It was, I think that was sobering. That was sobering. I would say that would be sobering. That's, if I had to put somebody in my adversity university this week, of course it would be Big Baby. Why? Because a lot of people, and I was one for a while, that was saying, man, look, he got the skill set to be able to do it, but people want to see it. Now he was getting, he was coming into his own, he was doing his thing, and then he started getting into those out of the ring things. That was, they all do it. All of these guys at some point in time, well, not all of them, but many of these guys at some level, they get into that out of the ring stuff, man. And it depending on how they weather through it, how savvy they are, they'll get around it and they'll bounce past it. But I think that it was having a baby, getting in legal trouble, having that stuff looming over your head, the stage being that big. And then, I mean, I'm not sure if these guys be doing their homework. I'm not sure if these guys be doing their homework. Because I'm not sure how you would want to stand toe to toe, mano a mano, right there, like It's like in spurts, fight in spurts like that, but not just. And I was waiting on the adjustments, and I'm gonna try not to go in too much, because there's a lot of people, man. Like when you talk about certain people, man, they don't like when you tell the truth. I can't help it. So what I'll do is I'll cut back a little bit. Jared Anderson perhaps was just the victim of not being focused in boxing. Now, Bernard Hopkins came out and said, boxing will call your bluff. He said it. It's one of my favorite quotes. He said it last year. He said, boxing will call your bluff. The sport of boxing, those big bright lights, like if you have not endured and spent the time, and I'm not questioning whether or not the gym time, I'm talking about the focus. You can go in the gym and kill yourself, and then get outside the gym and go home and kill yourself. You know, I mean, so I think that this might have been, just like I said, losses and lessons. I think it's going to be a lesson, because he said, I'm right back in the gym. He said, listen, you know, blah, blah, blah. Very mature approach. Very, very mature approach. So, you know, I think this is going to be a good lesson for him. But, man, that guy, Bacoli, man, it was a feeling. It was a sense. That's why I didn't have him in. I didn't put Big Baby in my parlay, because I was nervous, man. I did not put him in my parlay, man, because the way that dude, and you got to take everything into account for when you're analyzing these fights and you're breaking them down, or if you're trying to win some bread or you're trying to do something, you got to take everything into account. That's why a lot of people are getting frustrated with the weigh-ins and how they're being done. Why? Because you don't really get to see the fighter the way we used to know that, okay, well, he look weight drained. Okay, well, shoot, he really looked good. Like, they taking all of it away from you, and they're packaging it up when they roll it out, and you looking at these guys and you don't really, you know. But it was energy at the weigh-in and at that press conference that Bacoli had, and he looked like the Rock of Gibraltar. I shall not be moved. He was very deliberate. He was very staunch. He was looking like, I'm not here to play with you. I'm not here to laugh and play games. He looked dangerously focused. He looked like he done his homework. He did his research. He was like, when I see this, I'ma do that. And then it was boom, pap, pap, ping, pow, kung pao, chicken. It was, you know, it was an exciting fighting in spurts, and it was times where I'm like, okay, there you go, you know, get off and keep doing that. Like, get in, get out, weave, get under, use your legs. But when you take that kind of punishment, your energy level goes way down, and then your legs start giving away. And once you hit the canvas, every time you get up, energy is exhausted. And I would say he made an adjustment, but by that time he had took way too much punishment, man. It took way too much punishment, man. And I heard when Jarrell Miller basically said, listen, because I was like, part of it was Big Baby talking to the other Big Baby. So the one Big Baby was like, listen, I've been in there with Martin Bacoli. He's like, man, I know what kind of punishment this guy can take. He said he is the type of guy that'll take punishment for 3 to 4 rounds, 4 to 5 rounds, just so he can land his. And when he land, oh boy. And he wasn't, you know, so part of it was trash talking. I said, okay, let me see if he putting a little extra on it. But then I matched up what he said with what I saw at the weigh-in. And I looked, and you know, some other things that I've been watching, because I've been looking at Jared like, man, was he the next big thing? You know what I'm saying? Because he still could be. He could make an adjustment. You know, it's not over for him. But I was analyzing. I was like, you know, man, like the interviews, and then saying, you know, it's like, that's why I said, man, like when you put stuff out in the atmosphere and you give voice to stuff and you put energy behind it and you speak it out in the ethers, man, it can't be idle, because the ethers don't know that you just playing. They don't know that. So when you say you don't know and this, and I'm like, my question always was, is he ready for it? It's like, he had the skill set. He can get, you know, if he can get like Mayweather like focus, he would be very, very dangerous. It's just these guys want what Mayweather had, but they don't want to do what Mayweather did to get there. And some of them have all of the talent in the world. And I think that that's what happened with Jared Anderson. You know, I think that this is a lesson for him. I'm not going to beat him up, man. I'm not going to kick a man when he's down, but he handled it very mature. And people are already matchmaking for Bacoli. But that guy looks very serious. A lot of people say him and Zhang. I'm not sure, you know, because there was some other things in the lineup, you know, already in the works. But I'm sure they're going to come up with something creative for him, because doing that on that stage to that man, his stock went up. A lot of people's stock went up. Some people's stock went down. Win, lose, or draw. Some people's stock went up because, look, the next fight, Andy Ruiz and Gerald Miller. Big baby. Andy came out there and I was like, man, Andy just one of them chubby dudes that can box. You know what I'm saying? I just think that you could tell his gas tank wasn't really there at some point in time, and maybe it was dealing with a physical dude like Big Baby. But I felt in my heart of hearts that Big Baby, and I'm not a fan at all. You know, I know of him. I've seen him. I watched him. I'm not a fan, you know, but Big Baby won that fight. I think because of the politics and everything, you know, I agree with it being a draw, only because that's not gonna hurt either one of them. It's not gonna step them a close. It's not gonna hurt either one of them guys. With Andy coming back, with, you know, Miller's starting to get back active again, you know, would it be a rematch? Would you watch that again? I would. Like, with them knowing that with them having a proper camp and them knowing they going right back at each other, I would be in agreement with that. I would be in agreement with that. But people saying they wanted other things. Listen, I wanted Andy Ruiz and Deontay Wilder before Wilder went on that little spree, before Andy got inactive, and Wilder said he was pricing himself, that Andy was pricing himself out, and Wilder went and did ayahuasca and came back and did whatever else he's been doing here lately. Before that, I was begging and pleading for Andy Ruiz and Deontay Wilder. Why? Because that would have at least put speed versus power at the time and the age, and with the legacy. That was a legacy fight. Now, can it still happen? Would they make that fight now? I mean, with Wilder one, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm thinking that, you know, I don't know, man. At this point in time, I'm not sure what Wilder wants to do. I know if he's not dangerously focused and dedicated, it could go wrong, because that's the heavyweight division. I saw Pitbull, Cruz, and Rayo. We talked about that, and I'm proud of Rayo. I'm proud of Rayo, man. He stuck to his game plan. He actually boxed. He didn't get greedy. He stayed patient. And it was a couple times when he looked like he was getting ready to engage. I'm like, no, because that's exactly what Pitbull wanted. And you can see Pitbull get frustrated, just like when Bivol was boxing the shit out of Canelo. Bop, boop, bang, and Canelo was like, come on. Nah, Bivol was like, nah, man, nah, I'm not following you over there. Pitbull Cruz did the same thing in that fight, where he got to stomping his feet and doing this extra jazzy stuff. And Rayo was like, I'm saying, though, come get some. You know what I'm saying? You a pit boy, come get some. Pivot out, roll out of there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would say clinical, man. So I'm happy for him. He definitely shook up the whole 140-pound division. I call that the row. And with the Terrence Bud Crawford and Israel Madrimov fight, I'll say this, because Bud is another guy that you can't tell the truth about. You know, so I'm just gonna salute him for his accomplishments and say, hey, salute, Bud. You know what I'm saying? I call him the closer in my boxes to watch. I say, salute, Bud. He's finally getting all of the attention that he needs and deserves, you know, for all of the hard time, all of the hard work, everything he's been through in his life, from his upbringing to putting his people on. For him to finally get all of that, I salute him for that. You know what I'm saying? I give him a big salute for that. And that's about where that ends. But I'm here. I can get to these comments. And I want to know why my outlines, my outlays are not playing. But let's see here. Salute, y'all. Let's see if it's gonna let me get down with the get down. Oh, I'm downloading now. I'm downloading it again. It won't let me get my roll thumbnail out. Well, it's another way I can show it. Let me see. It's another way I can show it. Let me do it like this. Yeah. That's it, y'all. Can y'all believe this? Can you believe this, man? Look at the row, man. Look at the row right now. Don't it look? It's. I'm telling you, man. That's why I say, man. This is my division, man. It's mine. It's like, no, I'm just playing. I just like talking about this division because this division, man, is one of the most underrated divisions. Why? Because on any given night, it can go down. So now we got Teofimo-Lopez with the WBO. We got Leon Paro having relieved one Subriel No Mas Tias of his IBF strap in his own backyard. Alberto Puello getting it in with the other boogeyman and Gary Antoine Russell for a strap. Word on the street is they're going to have to run it back. I'm not sure, but we'll find out. And when I do, I'll be back. He might have some Sandor Martin in the mix. And then we got Jose Rayo Valenzuela with the WBA. And these are our 140-pound champions. It's very interesting. With Devin taking a year off, Ryan taking a year off, even though I think they're going to bigger. I don't think they're coming back to 40. That's just me personally. I don't think they're going to be in 40. So, I mean, with them being there, 140, then you still got Kenneth Sims Jr., you got Gustavo Lemos. Don't forget Richardson Hitchens. That win over Gustavo Lemos aged so well. You got Regis. I think Regis and Catterall, I think they got pushed back for a later time. You know, and then Regis was saying that after what was supposed to happen, I think Regis was saying that after the Leon Paro had Subriel Matias got past Leon Paro, he was supposed to get that fight. So some of that stuff he was saying in the media was in prep for that. So he's waiting to get right. 140, man, is sneaky good, man. It's like, I call it the row, because a boxing match right now, man, it would be to see any mixture of this right now as far as belt wise. Sign me up. Sign me up. Why? Because it's you got pretty much, well, Leon Paro, he can get you out of there if you don't know what you're doing. But you know, Tio, you know, when he's dialed in, he can get you out of there. Rayo, he had a 69% knockout rate. That might have went slightly down a little bit since he just won another one and he didn't get the knockout, but he still had a 69%. That's almost like 7 out of 10 people he knocking out. And Puello, he can just he's like he can box, but if he catch you right, I think he can put you out. But a combination of any of these guys right now, probably any of these guys right now, boxing wise or how you want to mix it up, any of these guys right now would be a great fight. A great fight. Anyone, the way they mixed up, because I really did think that Pitbull is a 135er, man. His dimensions ain't right, man. He don't got the right dimensions, especially for that one style, man. Like, imagine Pitbull against Puello. What is Pitbull gonna do against Puello? Puello can daggone near be back in his own corner, punching Pitbull in the face as soon as he step inside the middle of the ring. And Pitbull won't be able to touch him. Need to go back down to 35. Rayo has the dimensions to be able to do it. It's history about Rayo and Teo and sparring. Now, I don't know. I don't like to bring it up except for it's history out there. I don't make too much of it, but they have something that they can build on if they wanted to. Rayo don't talk about it that much. I hadn't heard him talking about it that much. Teo, he's always looking for a good dance partner. Now, I'm not saying right now, but at some point in time, because Teo is still looking like he want that Bud Crawford smoke. I'm not sure. I can't knock him for doing it. I'm like, who am I to hold a young man back? I'm not sure. But any one of these guys with these belts is formidable. They actually can, and most, like Teo, he actually kind of got the equalizer at some point, like where he could, like if he dialed in and he could still get you, you know, at some point in time. But all of these guys can box. And the knockout rates are pretty decent. I think Puello, I'm not sure. I think his is like, it's still decent. He'll get you out of there. But this is the road now. Ain't it funny how everything done changed? Let me see. Since I gotta present it like that, since it won't let me pop in my overlays. Let me see. Al Money, salute for the $1.99 super chat, Al Money. Appreciate that. But that's the road. That's the road now. Let me see if it's gonna let me do it now, man. They funny about that though. YouTube been they've been blocking a little bit here lately on your boy, man. I ain't gonna lie. YouTube been blocking. StreamYard, y'all think it's YouTube. They've been blocking your boy a little bit lately, man. They've been putting some flies in the ointment for your boy lately. But it's not gonna, guess it's not gonna allow me to upload these overlays that I had. All I can say is this is the row. This was the recalibrated row right here. That was it. Remember when it was that? And I was saying, this is the row, the non-champion row right here, but the next up guys. So you see them three guys right there, and you know, Gary Antoine will get another bite of the apple, but you see them three guys right there, man, them three guys right there, could easily be right up in here mixing up with them, man. Y'all, you see how deep the row is, man, with talent, with real talent. I'm talking about, and these guys right here, they can box. Now, we know what happened with Gary Antoine, but the 3 guys on the right, they can box. So you getting ready to see them guys in the mix with these guys pretty soon. You see how deep the row is? And that's not even the original row, y'all. Y'all know that's not the original row. Look at the original row. When I first really started tracking and putting this all together, this what it was back then. Look. April 23rd, April 4th, 2023 is when I did that. Gary Antoine. Elvis Rodriguez. Regis. Subriel. Of course, Josh Taylor moving up. That might be a good fight for Devin. Devin and Josh Taylor at 47. Sign it up. Link it up. Tank whenever he want to. That is Teofimo Lopez, and that is Richardson Hitchens. That's who I was saying, okay, keep these names in mind. Keep all these names in mind when I was originally looking at it as far as who was, you know, the guys up there at that point in time. Because remember, Devin wasn't up there. He wasn't up there at that point in time. That was the row here recently. And y'all see what it is now. This is the lane I try to be in, man, because when I speak about these guys, I speak about these guys with a level of, I'm not just emotionally attached to nobody in this realm right here. I speak about these guys because I be tracking these guys. I look at their numbers, their stats, their styles. I try to keep up with them and do all of that. So when I give my predictions and my thoughts on them, I'm not just emotional stand. You know, I'm really talking about these guys because I've been watching them. And I was really rocking with Tio, man, before all of the racist stuff. And him getting all of that stuff out of the way. But, man, look at the row. Look at the row. Look at the row. You know, look at ProBox. Look at ProBox going, look at what they did. They going live now about the same topic. They be hating, man. They really do be hating, man. But hey, they say if you ain't got haters, you ain't popping, man. But this is the new row. But these are not just these, it's not just about these guys. Remember, you got these guys. That was it. This guy's still in the mix. You know, he had a setback, but he's still in the mix. And just to prove y'all that I don't just be shooting from the hip, even back then when they put Pitbull up there and they were saying Pitbull need to go to this front, I was calling out in real time saying that was recency bias. Why? And I gave all my reasons. So if you go back and you look at that video right there, I gave all my reasons as to why they were being recency bias back then when I was breaking down what did Pitbull Cruz do and how I thought he was really a 135 pounder. Ben broke that down in that recency bias video. That was that. They're not letting me upload my new that's one of them though. This is one of them right here, and this is the other one. All right, so let me stop sharing this one. Let me put this one there. And the new. So he been inducted, man. That's hey, because I see a lot of people, man. I see a lot of people in there, and this is crazy. Like this is how we know when people want to pull that card, those cards that they pull out, because they do it with us. But when they want to pull that divisive card, I see a lot of people so upset that Pitbull lost. They're not celebrating the fact that Rayo became a champion, man, through adversity. He been in the ring with some names. Now, you know, he's stamped. So you can't say nothing about somebody wanting to come see him. Because I found it real funny how Sabril Matias couldn't find no smoke for his belt. No smoke for his belt up until Liam Paro. None. But the minute Pitbull came up, well, Rolly got that belt, everybody wanted Rolly. Everybody wanted Rolly. I'm like, why y'all want Rolly when Tank never got credit for him? Because he got a belt, he a champ. Oh man, he's legitimized. Okay. So then Pitbull came up and slapped him to sleep. And Rayo came in and I can't say exposed, because if you put in that much hard work, because I don't want it to sound like I'm actually hating on Pitbull. What I'm actually saying is I was keeping it real and a buck on Pitbull, because I said, remember I made the little jokey joke? I said, man, if Pitbull had his own customer service, you know, care package delivery service, he would become a billionaire. Because why? He delivers, and you know exactly what you're going to get. It's nothing new. It's nothing special. It's going to be tucked in tight. You know what I'm saying? You know exactly what you're going to get each and every time. My little play on the fact that he's a one-trick pony. So Rayo is legit now. It's adding the new, and we need to celebrate him. We need to legitimize and stamp and recognize that the man did something at 140 in a row. Because now, guess what? Went from being the hunter to being the hunted. So now people are going to be coming out the woodworks. Now Rayo, man, imagine seeing El Rayo and Richardson Hitchens. El Rayo, we already know. I mean, the Gustavo Limos, he can, you know what I'm saying, he's going to be able to pick that lock, because I think somebody like Gustavo Limos should fight somebody like Pitbull. If Pitbull going to stay, Gustavo Limos and Pitbull, they both 140, almost the same style, that same juggernaut style. That would be a action-packed, like Royal Rumble, like from start to finish until somebody go to sleep. That's the kind of fight that need to happen. But Rayo is legitimized now. So we got to acknowledge that. And let me see. A couple months ago, it was the deepest division in boxing. It's still deep, in my opinion. A lot of matchups we haven't seen yet. Yeah, I just showed all of the like, look at this. We haven't even seen. Look, they keep ducking this guy. This guy got a fight coming up. This guy right here, Kenny Sims, he should have had his shot at that WBA. O'Hare Davies and Rollies and all that. Look, and with that belt that Alberto Puello goes, Sandor Martin, he was supposed to get Regis. He waited around for that, and Regis fought Devin, and then Devin didn't give him his shot. Devin went and fought Ryan, but Sandor Martin is still there. And Richardson Hitchens just beat Gustavo Limos, but he's still there. Gary Antoine, he suffered his first defeat, but he's probably going to get a rematch. But it's still deep. It's still deep. It's still like the row. It's still the row. It's still the row. With legit talent. I'm talking about where you might not have ever sniffed the belt. You might not have ever sniffed the belt. And if you get in a ring with somebody, one of these belt holders, it might look different. And so I still got faith. I still got faith in the row. But that's pretty much it, man. I want to give my salutes to Rayo, man, and you know, that Robert Garcia gym, and for him making adjustments, being able to stick to a game plan and get it in. Yeah, he would have made me some bread, man. Had Andy Cruz did, not Andy Ruiz. If Andy Ruiz would have did what I needed him to do, and Big Baby Miller would have did what I needed him to do, you know. But I count it all joy, man. I just wanted to put this out there, man, and say that, listen, man, when we look at these numbers and this action and all this, man, stop falling in love with these fighters. And you can't go wrong when you call what your eyes see. Just call what your eyes see. You can't tell me, man, this man punched Pitbull Cruz in the face 170-something times and people still talking about robbery. And the way he controlled that. And Pitbull ain't have no answers and no adjustments, man. You just gotta, you know what I'm saying? You gotta give a man his salutes. This wasn't gonna be a long one, y'all. Y'all know I've been cutting down on everything, but it wasn't gonna be a long one, but that's what it is. But anybody have anything? Let me see. I might have missed something. Koki was in here cooking. Our money be keeping it. All the way live in the chat. Yeah, that's it. Won't let my overlay, but you know, it would have let me download them earlier if I would have put the other ones in there ahead of time, ahead for this show. But I guess this is the time of somebody that might be taking up somebody's time slot. I don't know. Anyways, y'all, man, that's it, man. That's it. I just wanted to give my salutes to Robert Garcia. You know, Turkey, he did put on a good event, a good, strong, respectful event. You know, it was definitely a good night of entertainment, and we shall wait to see what is goings on. But y'all know how I get down, man. This them fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. That fact-based content, man. Tell your favorite commentator or your favorite boxing analyst, man, like to put on their research glasses and put down the rose-colored glasses or goggles sometimes and look at everything objectively, not for the politics, because the politics wanted Pitbull to still have that belt. But since Rayo knows how to box, and he stayed disciplined, politics didn't win. Thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.